Now that we've done our practice on our hatching, we're going to use this 2H pencil. If all you have is a number 2 pencil, that'll work fine. Just keep a light pressure on it. To do the sphere, we're just going to trace something round. I have a pencil sharpener, so that's going to work for me. And we're going to cross hatch this 3-dimensional sphere. Let's map out the value pattern. The lightest light is up here in the left. So I'm making myself a little dashed line in almost like a crescent moon shape, radiating out from that highlight. Connect it. Pretty much done with this one after that step. And we need to go ahead and start our cone, and our cone needs an anchor line. It has to have a spine. So let's use the side of our paper and make a spine for this cone that is parallel with the edge of your paper. And I'm just going to anchor the reference image and my drawing space. Here's a marker. That will help you see it a little bit better. See what I'm picturing in my mind, what I'm looking at the time. I'm not paying attention to value yet because I can't. All I can do is map out my underdrawing so I know where to lay down the ink. This cone is symmetrical. I know it needs a spine and I know it needs a round base. So I'm just going to make sure that the drawing is symmetrical, and I'm going to map out where I think the values go. It's got some dark on the left and it's dark on the right with this band of light on the left side. Check your symmetry, see if it looks balanced, then move on to the cylinder and go ahead and do the same thing. Give it an anchor line, give it a vertical through the center. I'm using a marker so that it's easy for you guys to see what I would normally just imagine in my head. But I want to give you a visual of what measurements or what proportions are most important as I map this out so that I get it right. And keep your ruler handy. These are all geometric and symmetrical objects, so we're going to use that a lot. Picture those parentheses. How far from the spine are they? How open is the oval? That's my goal, is to mimic that. How far is it away? Make it equal or even, or at least shoot for similar. How open is this oval? Trying to make the top of the oval balanced with the bottom. Symmetrical. Every little pie piece is the same. If it were a pizza and everybody paid $1 for their piece, would they be happy? Is it fair? When we draw an ellipse, that's what we want to know. Go ahead and just pull a line straight down from each edge, each parentheses. Measure and compare. How many ovals could I put inside the cylinder? And if it doesn't look right, erase it and start over. We always use a pencil first, and we draw light until it's right. We're going to use a different pen technique on each object. So the sphere is going to be cross-hatched, the cone's going to be hatched, and the cylinder is going to be stippled. We're going to use cross-hatching to shade the sphere first. I need to know where the value changes are going to land on the sphere. It will just help me have a guide or a map. So I'm using little dotted lines around this sphere to show me that, because when I get in there with a pen, it's a little harder to stop and start. Add in the cast shadow. Where is my darkest area going to be? That's going to be important. Here and here. And here's a fail-proof way to make sure you have used every direction in cross-hatching on your darkest darks. Give yourself a little guide, either on a scrap piece of paper or just on this paper, and show every direction of hatching that you can do and mark them off as you go. So vertical, horizontal, both diagonals, and then maybe an in-between. I think it's easier to start with a cast shadow. It's going to be all one value and it's going to be very dark. So any dark areas are going to be more forgiving. So if I mess it up early on, it's going to get really dark anyway. There's a good chance I can just camouflage my mistake under darker value. So I'm going to start with just a diagonal. Notice I don't make my lines very long. They're harder to control. What I'm going to do is maybe flip my paper, come back from the outside edge and pull in so that I keep that edge crisp. I'm trying to stay in the lines here. Keeping that motion and being deliberate, it's hard to stay in the lines sometimes. Now I'm going to go in a different direction. I do have to move my paper around some. I'm trying to keep my same motion that I have good muscle memory with, and if I twist my arm around to do a different direction, I'm not as consistent. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just spin the paper, and I recommend doing that as well for you guys. So I've used 2 directions so far out of 5 or more. Now I'm going to start next to the edge of the sphere and kind of pull outwards. And then I'm going to give myself another set of those horizontals and come in. And try to fuse them together. And they do pretty well, I think, especially in areas that are going to be pretty dark. Okay, so this value is getting into the mid-tone range, but it's going to get even darker as we layer. So I'm going to put a really tight hatch of diagonal right here. It's really starting to get deeper, closing in those gaps. And spinning the paper, I think, is the easiest way to make it comfortable and control it really well. I think I'm going to put at least one more. I'm just going in between directions. Filling in the space, trying to keep it comfortable for me and keeping it under control. Don't want to get stray marks out of the shape. Now I have to start layering. I need 1 layer here, maybe 2 to 3 here, maybe 4 to 5, maybe 3 to 4, something like that here. So I'm gonna have different amounts of layers of hatching and none on this highlight. So the highlight's gonna stay clean, and I'm gonna keep adding and adding layers until it gets darker on that one ridge. So I'm just gonna pick a direction and I'm putting it over all of the sphere except the highlight. And then with each new layer and new direction, I will try to cover a little less ground, a little less surface area of this sphere. So I'm weaving my line together, a little different direction, but again, let's hope it gets dark enough to cover that up. So it did change a little bit there. I'm going to leave that just 1 layer for now, and then I'm going to add more layers on this exterior crescent portion. So you can see I'm stopping short of just that dotted line. So right, yeah, I think that's the direction I was going. It's hard when you're starting in a different spot, but I'm going to wrap it around like a hoop earring, like a crescent moon, that kind of shape. But I'm leaving the other part alone. Got out of the line a little, sorry. Oh well, I'll go back. Try to clean it up a little. Okay. I'm not seeing a ton of value change, but you know, there's only 2 layers. It's not going to be a lot yet. Okay, my lines have disappeared, so let me reinforce those for you guys. I can kind of see them, but it is hard to see in the camera. So there they are. And that's going to guide my work. I can always erase those later on after my pen is nice and dry. All right, pick a different direction. All right, right here, I know it's going to be dark. So this is a safe little area. And if you're keeping count, this is layer number 3. And we are working our way, getting further from the highlight. All of our work is on the dark side. Adding a little more in between here. Eventually I run out of tried and true direction, and I just have to tighten up my hatching, make it closer together. So if I want it to go darker, I just repeat those directions with hatching lines that are more dense, that are just tighter. And that's basically what I'm going to have to do here, because this has to go a little bit darker. You can see there's a little sliver on the bottom side of the sphere that's getting a little reflective light. These are just practice, just to get an idea of implementing these techniques onto what should be a 3-dimensional looking object. So if you mess up a little, that's what they're for. They're for practice. And if you get better throughout them, then they have served their purpose. Bit of darkness on the left side, but certainly more on the right. So I'm going to do some small little strokes on the left. My method is to do this kind of diagonal stroke. That's where I'm most consistent. You may not be, you might have a different stroke that you like. You may need to turn your paper, that's fine. I'm just going over that right side and giving it a first layer. Now I'm going back over and shortening the stroke to get that band of low key value right in the center of it. It is difficult to control the length of each line. So sometimes I just have to make pretty small dashes up here at the top. You have to make a mark so short that it almost becomes a stipple. Now I can just start on my cast shadow since I forgot to draw it earlier. It's magically there now. You can see how I'm just weaving this hatching together. I'm not trying to make one big long line that stretches the length of the shadow. I'm sewing these lines together, trying to blend them together. I can always go back and add more. I'm pretty sure it needs to be darker. But I am somewhat satisfied that this shape is looking more rounded than it was before I started shading. So that's okay. We can always go back. I'm making a few of those long lines, not many. And I certainly didn't put them there first because I have trouble controlling that consistency. And I didn't want that to show. I think the ink is dry on these. I'm gonna go ahead and erase it. Make sure your ink is dry or you'll smear it. So erase all your pencil that's still visible before you call it officially done. I'm gonna mark out my value changes on the cylinder. I wanna know where it's gonna be the most dark, which is right here in the cast shadow, and it starts up here and curves around and comes straight out from the bottom. I'm gonna time lapse this stippling because it's really long. So I also swapped to a marker because I'm cheating. I want my dots to be a lot bigger and take a lot less time. So feel free to switch to a marker and give yourself a larger diameter, and it'll go a little quicker for you. You can watch it kind of fill up with darkness as those dots come together. I just keep adding more density to get those darker values, and I keep squinting. I just blur my eyes and I see if I can read the value and if those dots will fuse together and become cohesive enough to make the illusion of this cylinder. And there you go, 3 different objects shaded with 3 different pen techniques, all on one video, and we're gonna call it done.